Hey world, so I don't normally do drama type videos on this channel. I do, however, think they definitely have their place on this platform, especially when a large portion of the community have a genuine grievance against a particular creator. Now, with the controversy involving the person I'm discussing today, this definitely intersects into my category of content for this channel. This is, after all, an activist channel. So, without further ado, my name is Keith. Welcome to Keith's Universe. Roll the intro with the stars and the planets. So before we get into the core issues here, a little bit of background first. For those of you who don't know who Jimmy Snow is, he is a content creator here on YouTube, previously went by the username of Dear Mr. Atheist. I was quite a big supporter of his channel, although more of a casual viewer, if I'm being totally honest. I subscribed to Jimmy around the time I launched my main channel, Nerdy Keith, a few years ago. I used to be very active in the atheist community, not just here on YouTube, but on many different parts of the web. So I was still kind of active in that arena around the time I subscribed to Jimmy's channel. At that time, I was just so fed up with certain members of the atheist community who seemed to be going on anti-SJW, anti-feminist, anti-woke tirades. I do want to emphasize, however, this is not the entirety of the atheist community, but only certain individuals. For example, the amazing atheist. But I knew obviously there must be more like-minded atheists out there that I could actually relate to. So I came across the Dear Mr. Atheist channel and I thought, wow, okay, this is a guy who is an atheist, but he's also a feminist. He's a great supporter of the trans community and obviously very progressive and very like-minded. Now this is the type of channel that I could really enjoy and really relate to. Although I do have to say that I did get quite jaded with the constant covering of Paula Morgan, Girl Defined, and the Transformed Wife, but I digress. Suffice to say, I am no longer subscribed to Jimmy Snow due to some shocking reveals that have come to light. Before I continue, I do feel it is my responsibility to preface that the purpose of this video is not to spread hate, not to advocate bullying or harassment of any type, nor am I calling for the cancellation of any creator whatsoever. What I am advocating for, however, is accountability. Accountability in the sense to understand that what Jimmy has done is wrong, and to understand that what he did wrong is about the victims. And what I'm expecting from Jimmy is an honest reflection on that, and to illustrate a genuine intention for change. So please do keep that in mind while watching this video. So there's a lot to unpack here. Now this whole situation came to light, we shall say, due to Jimmy's support for Gabby Hanna, who herself has been involved in a lot of online controversies, so much that I simply don't have time to go through those as well in this video. It's very easy to find out about that stuff on YouTube. It's very readily available. But anyway, Jimmy was friends with Gabby Hanna and also friends with another YouTube user called Rachel Oates. So Gabby was due to release a poetry book and Rachel was going to do a book review on that very poetry book. So what does Jimmy do? Well, he interjects himself into that situation and sends Rachel this message.
Hi. So I have no expectations, but I thought you'd want to know, while I don't think Gabby watches the videos themselves, I know the reactions people have to your videos about her poetry definitely hits her feelings. I'm not saying do or don't make the videos, but I thought you'd want to know that the human on the other side of it definitely experiences severe negativity because of it. She hasn't asked me to say this to you, by the way. She told me another one is coming, and it's obvious to me that she's messed up with anticipation.
Oh, there's so much manipulation in that message. And I mean, what a weird thing to say. Okay, firstly, Jimmy, that was never any of your business and there was no need for you to be sending that message at all. And secondly, Gabby had sent Rachel a copy of that book. She knew it was coming. I have actually seen Rachel's review on Gabby's book Dandelion, and to be honest, it is a fair review. And in regards to Gabby's poetry, well, let me put it this way, it's not exactly going to go down in history as the finest piece of literature. I'll say that much. In any case, this is such a huge double standard. Jimmy has had absolutely no problem whatsoever doing book reviews on his own channel for Girl Defined, Paula Morgan, and Do you think he held back then? Do you think he held back? Of course he didn't. He did not hold back, not even in the slightest. And yet when it came to this simple review of a poetry book, Gabby and Jimmy were all open arms about it. A review, by the way, that Jimmy still refuses to watch. You know, Jimmy, for someone who identifies as a feminist, it is very strange that you would support someone like Gabby Hanna. Gabby Hanna, who is a rape apologist. And that is not a term I use lightly. It is sadly very true. She has attempted to blackmail and threaten a survivor of rape, Jessie Smiles, while befriending her rapist while Jessie and her were still friends. So that's the type of person Gabby Hanna is. And yet, Jimmy, time and time again, you make it very, very clear that you identify as a feminist. If you are indeed a feminist, this is not the type of behavior you need to be giving a platform to, and you need to be giving your support to. A feminist, Jimmy, in my view, should be supporting the victims and not enabling apologists. I would suggest that you spend a lot more time on the ideology of feminism and a lot less time on the label, because I gotta tell you, supporting Gabby, it does not fit the ideology. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't. What really started to rub people the wrong way was Jimmy's constant blocking of his fans for simply disagreeing with him. Now, of course, Jimmy will claim this is mischaracterizing him, creating false narratives. Personally, I don't buy it.
I get defensive, I get angry, and plenty of my logical faculties basically take a break. But again, I want you to know I'm working on that.
I can tell you from my own experience, especially when it comes to some of my more popular videos, it can be challenging when you are dealing with criticism. With me, any criticism that I have received, I generally really do try to give all of the commenters a chance to share their views so we can have an open dialogue of discussion. Yes, I have blocked people from my channel in the past, but that has only been due to bigotry in the comment section, because as a creator, I do have a responsibility to make sure that I do not allow toxicity to fester on this channel. But I would never block someone for disagreeing with me. I will maybe take a step back if the discussion becomes a little bit too heated, and then go back to the conversation and tell them why I think, from my perspective, that they are wrong. I've also never turned off comments in my videos, which is something, Jimmy, you have done, which is very ironic since this is something that you have criticized many other channels for doing. Why is it different when you do it though? It's not a good look. I'm not telling you that you don't have the right to do that. You do have the right to do that. It is your channel. But personally, I would advise against a content creator who is creating content such as the content that I create and the content that you create, which is categorized as activism. It's not a good look. Don't advise it. What I have found in my experience, and this is relevant for really any social media platform, that from time to time, you really do need to take a step back when it comes to debating online. And yes, it is so easy to lash back in anger with other people you're chatting with in a comment section when they don't agree with you.
Really feel like I need to address a super common accusation that people are starting to make even videos about, which is that I use autism as a shield. And this is one of the things where I am fully going to reject this. It's one of the few things in here I'm fully going to reject, but I'm going to tell you why. Yes, I have 100% talked about my autism to explain why I might have said something, why I might have not understood something in its original context, but I have never once said that you have to excuse a thing that I've done to someone because I'm autistic. I will absolutely use it as an explanation, but I don't believe I have ever used it as an excuse. I even had one very critical person reach out and tell me that they're autistic and that they learned that they have to apologize to neurotypical people when they had no idea what they were saying or doing was wrong, but literally because they couldn't know, but that it's still good to do and to apologize and say, I'm sorry I did that, not anything like I'm sorry for how it made you feel. And I gotta tell you, I disagree so hard with that sentiment. That is to me saying that I need to apologize and that autistic people need to apologize because we need to accept that the world belongs to neurotypicals and that we have to go out of our way just to think about them and make them comfortable, which, by the way, we already do so much when we're masking.
So I've interpreted this in two ways. Firstly, it seems that from that elaboration from Jimmy's reaction to an autistic fan that he does in fact at times use autism as a shield to justify how he reacts to others. He may not literally say it, but he certainly demonstrates it from what we've all seen. Of course, autistic people shouldn't apologize unless they understand why they are doing so. And just an FYI, I happen to be autistic too. Stimulation overload is common amongst those on the autistic spectrum, and this can sometimes cause an emotional reaction in certain circumstances. However, as we get older and as we become more accustomed to the knowledge that we are autistic, it is up to us to discover how we can manage this. Yes, we do have to approach certain situations differently. That is on you to do what you need to do in order to cope with that given situation. If those comments were too much for you to handle, if you were feeling overstimulated, stressed, or anything of that sort, what you probably should have done is walked away from your computer, took a breather, took a break, cleared your head, and then went back to those comments with a more clear, calm, and logical frame of mind. Telling people to basically f off and block their asses on the spot, not a wise choice, my dude. It is up to you how you initialize your coping mechanisms. And failing that, it is simply a matter of you mishandling certain situations. You do acknowledge there are things that you do have to work on, and I really hope that you do honestly work on them, especially considering the line of work that you're in. I also get the impression that he is using the argument of not understanding something to justify treating others poorly, being rude to fans, supporting an apologist, and so on. It's not an excuse if he doesn't understand something, if he doesn't understand why people are upset. He should probably just ask. So the other issue here is there's also been a lot of allegations. Women, former fans, they've shared their stories of how they've been manipulated, sent inappropriate messages. Here is a brief extract of one of such allegations. We continue to have an explicit relationship over the internet for several months, over text and video calls. I made it clear off the top of us talking that I was a huge fan. I was flirty and starstruck and couldn't believe I was getting one-on-one attention from my favorite YouTuber ever. We exchanged explicit messages and video chatted and Marco Polo'd. Our relationship was close enough that he even mentioned perhaps flying me out to spend a weekend with him. Eventually, he responded less, and after one lengthy public Twitter argument about religious issues, he unfollowed me. I unsubscribed, and we stopped talking altogether. Clearly, it is never a good idea for a YouTube creator to date a fan or engage in any sort of romantic or sexual relationship with a fan. It never ends well. There is an obvious power imbalance there. Maybe he doesn't realize this, but it's there. But when you have someone who very well may be starstruck to be even talking to you in the first place, you are basically putting that person in a very vulnerable position, a position where they can be so very easily manipulated. I've been using YouTube for a very long time, much longer than either of my channels have existed. And over the last 15 plus years, I've seen a lot of YouTube drama. There is a clear pattern throughout many instances on this platform that dating fans is never a good idea and it never ends well. We don't need to be allowing history to repeat itself. Just do a YouTube search on YouTube drama and I guarantee you will find some very revealing things upon that search. So by no means is Jimmy Snow the very first YouTuber that I've become disappointed in or no longer felt comfortable supporting or subscribing or watching their content. No, certainly not the first one. Not by a long shot. So to re-emphasize, I don't want Jimmy Snow to be cancelled. I don't want his entire career to be destroyed. I am, however, suggesting that since he is struggling with mental health, having some issues with being autistic, or if things honestly just get a little too much, obviously get whatever help you need to help you cope with that. And honestly, you should take a leave of absence. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for you to get someone else to fill in for you on your channel. I know you've done that before, and I don't believe it's impossible for you to do that on a little bit more of a longer term basis. I also think you need to ask yourself, why do you call yourself a feminist? Is this an ideology that you can honestly say that you've been consistent with? Because these allegations and your support for Gabby Hanna have left a lot of people unconvinced. I'm not saying that you haven't done great things and positive things for the LGBTQ plus community and even the humanist community. But the fact that you've got some good deeds under your belt, it doesn't excuse the negative impact that you've had on others. You have admitted to having flirty exchanges with your fans.
In that second year of my channel, I had a few very flirty relationships, some of which were explicit, though never in person.
And a lot of these women who have come forth basically felt used. And this is an abuse of your power. And I really do think that you could have done a much better job of addressing that. I think you need to establish much better boundaries between you and your fans. You may not see it, or you may claim to not see it, but you do have a huge platform. You do have a huge following. And there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. Have a responsibility to use that platform ethically and not abuse it. You've got to do so much better than this. When you are an activist channel, all eyes are watching, Jimmy. Always. You have set the bar. You have set the standard. You can't simply just step on top of your pedestal and expect so much of people while giving yourself and a select few a free pass. Be more aware of how you engage and how you react to certain situations. And I think I shall leave it there, as this video is already way too long as it is. All relevant links are down below, including the Freely Talk About Jimmy subreddit. I'm going to be leaving some relevant videos down below as well of other creators who are discussing this very topic. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Take care.